Hello and welcome back to another episode of Power Rangers Lore. Today we're going to talk about the final of the three swords. We talked about recently the Sword of Darkness, the Sword of Light, and now finally the Sword of Power. Now, if you don't know what the Sword of Power is, you will not be the only one. It is a very obscure sword, but I had mentioned it earlier in the other videos. Now, it all has to do with all the different swords, have kind of nothing to do with each other except for the Sword of Darkness and the Sword of Power, which is weird because you think the Sword of Light and the Sword of Darkness would have more conflicting story, like they would meet somewhere in the middle, but no. Now, the Sword of Power is supposedly, depending on which source you go with, is essentially fragments or a reconstituted blade of the Sword of Darkness. By reconstituted, I mean like it was purged of all evil and redone by Zordon for the use of the Power Rangers. Or Lord Zed basically says it's the fragments of the remains or fragments of the Sword of Darkness. We don't know, but that's from the original draft script, so we don't know exactly what got into it. It's just claiming basically to that, and it's also stated by the announcer in the intro of the episode that to be the Sword of Darkness. So that's that. However, there's a big difference between them. We know the Sword of Darkness looks like a scimitar-like blade. It's multiple episodes to be that wicked blade, essentially. It's very iconic. But the Sword of Power is essentially just a long sword or a broadsword of sorts. That's basically it. We don't know what else it does beyond that. It's a sword that just pops up in their hands. Now, what does it do? We don't go. No, I literally don't know what it does. It's summoned and it's never used again. That's it. It was there in the episode, The Green Dream. Essentially, Tommy is mind controlled, casts a spell on him by Goldar, which I don't know why Goldar doesn't cast more spells on all the Rangers, but hey, whatever. To basically get them to summon that sword so they can steal it. How they know about the Sword of Power is unknown. It just essentially they go, well, we want the sword. So it's not really explained, but the forces of evil, basically Goldar and Lord Zed, want the sword, so they get Tommy to get them. Now, he can't just go and steal it. He needs all 6 of the Rangers to summon the Sword of Power, and they have to all say the same thing with the following call: Sword of Power! Like something straight out of He-Man. And essentially it summons it. But once they summon it, Tommy goes, haha, it's mine! And then just teleports away. And they're going, what just happened? So, after that is basically they scramble, they fight for the sword. Tommy is broken free of the spell, but basically once the sword is given to the villain of the week. And that's it. They fight the sword and teleport it back to the power chamber, and it's never seen again. It's speculated that it blew up in the first Hog Day afternoon, which is basically when Rito and Goldar put explosives in the power chamber, well, the top power chamber, not realizing there's another power chamber below it, and blow it up. However, if there is another power chamber, I'll just transfer it downstairs. But it's probably speculated again that it was presumably destroyed in the Power Rangers Turbo final episode, where Divatox and others are basically just annihilate the power center from there on point, and there's no more power chamber at all. Now, that's it. We don't know what happened to what it does. I don't know what I just said there, but it wasn't proper. What we do kind of know from speculation from the scripts, and it's never shown on screen, but like Lord Zed, Zordon, and Robo Goat, which is the villain of the week, all claim Sword of Power can steal a Ranger's power, which is why they wanted it, but they don't. I don't know why Zordon would create a weapon like that. It's never seen. It's never done. And I think it. And why would you create this weapon and have the Rangers summon it to basically do that? Now, it's also speculated it can basically shoot lightning bolts, but I think that's just the Robo Goat's extension weapon. It's not really proven that it can do that, unless it's enhancing his powers, and that's one of the main things it can do, is enhance things. Now, also what happens is Robogoat stabs it into the ground and sends sparks bursting on the ground to create a chasm, like something straight out of Lost Galaxy. Essentially, and there's a huge chasm and a bunch of people fall in. The only one who didn't fall in was Jason, which he basically fights off everybody and saves everybody at that point. But that's it. We don't know if that's just Robogoats in Power Enhancer. Now, I think it just enhances them. That's why they would summon in the first place. I'm not 100% certain that it steals their powers. I think there's no speculation that the Sword of Darkness did that at all. But apparently that's it. I don't know. What do you guys think? Please put in the comments below what you think. Now, a little fun fact. In the French dub, Épée de Justice is what they call the Sword of Power, which means Sword of Justice instead of Sword of Power. I think Sword of Justice sounds better. I don't know what you guys think. I think they named everything too much power because all the weapons were like Power Axe, Power Bow, Power Sword. And it already confuses people when they say Sword of Power, Power Sword from the Red Ranger's weapon. So there we go. Thank you very much. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe at the end of this video. All your likes help me out, and all your watchers do too. Thank you very much, guys. I would really like to discuss with you guys what your topics are. May the power protect you always.